I now want to talk about setting goals. And before we get into our goals workshop, let me give you a few ideas about goal setting that became terribly helpful for me in those early days. Of all the things Mr. Schoaf taught, this is the one I picked up on right away and started making major changes. My income changed from a few hundred a month to a few thousand a month in a matter of months. Some personal development things took me a little longer to get underway, but goal setting, I picked it up immediately and went to work on it. No telling what we can do with it. And sure enough, by setting goals, making designs and plans, putting it together, no telling what you can do for your personal life and social, economic life, whatever projects you've got in mind. If you start paying a little more attention. Mr. Schoaf said to me, Mr. Rohn, you've always set goals, but before now you've probably done it haphazardly and spasmodically rather than deliberately. And that's a good thing to note. We've already set goals, only we just haven't done it really thoughtfully and carefully and with plan and with intent and with deliberation and consistently. We didn't use it as a plan. We just sort of did it by instinct or by sight or something grabbed our attention and we just worked hard and got it. But now he said, I want you to take that same ability and now I want you to work on goals deliberately, thoughtfully, with preparation. And then he said you can add such a wider variety of ranges to what you get and what you accomplish and what you become and where you go. Just by doing it deliberately rather than spasmodically, haphazardly. And that made sense to me. And what he did was he gave me credit for what I'd already done, right? Gave me credit for what I already knew. And that's what we want to start with, is a little credit for where we already are, right? We got here some way. This was a goal. To get here, we've set some goals, we've done some things, but where you might have done it just sort of loosely and once in a while and you know, the ups and downs now, from now on, with just a few pointers that I found helpful, I think you can start making real deliberate plans, really setting it out so that goals and dreams for you have an incredible attraction. We're primarily affected by 5 things. And here they are. First, we're affected by the environment. And all of us are affected by environment, where we live, the community, and the traffic, and the weather, and the smog, whatever. We're all affected by environment. The people around us, what's happening, what's going on. We're all affected by that. Second, we're affected by events, things that happen, whether they're personal things or community things, national things. Some of us are affected by international events. Does anybody remember the missile crisis? There's some here old enough, right, to remember the missile crisis? Back in, 61? Incredible time. We discovered Khrushchev's got his missiles heading for Cuba. They've already prepared the missile sites. And we discover it, right? They bring the news to John Kennedy, young president. So Kennedy gets a hold of Khrushchev and says, Nikita, you cannot put your missiles in Cuba. We've discovered the sites, and we just can't let that happen. Well, Khrushchev, to test the young president, says, well, I'll tell you what, Mr. Kennedy, we will put our missiles wherever we darn well please. Kennedy says, no, you don't understand. You can't put your missiles 90 miles from Florida. You can't. Khrushchev says, well, if we wish, we will. Kennedy says, you don't understand. And now it's getting a little bit heavy, right? Khrushchev says, the ships with the missiles are already on the way. Kennedy says, you don't understand. We won't let them arrive. Now it is getting heavy, right? Some of my friends were booking passage to Australia. Right? Let us get on the other side of the world. Khrushchev says, if you touch my ships, we got war. Kennedy says, well, maybe you don't understand. If it is war, you will cease to exist. People were buying bomb shelters. Remember back then? Digging holes in their backyard. Getting ready. It was an event that affected us all. And I think Dean Rusk, Secretary of State at the time, put it best. He said, Kennedy and Khrushchev were staring at each other, and fortunately, Khrushchev blinked. And he decided he'd better take his missiles and go home, which he did. And the whole world breathes a little easier, right? Events that affect us all. Third, we're affected by knowledge. Whatever you've learned up until now affects you. The books you've read, the experience you've come into possession of, the awareness you've accumulated up until now in your life certainly affects you. Next, we're affected by results. Whatever results, accomplishments, or failures of the past. All those affect us. The current economic results you have. Okay, all of the results of the past affect us. And fifth, we're affected by our view of the future. Now, of all of these 5 things I've mentioned, in my opinion, here's the best way to live the good life. Make sure the greatest pull on your life is the pull of the future. Make sure that exerts its greatest influence on you, the influence of the future. Now, see, some people are mostly affected by the environment. They're mostly affected by their associations. They're mostly affected by what's going on around them. Some people are affected by the past, the failures, what they haven't done, what they haven't got, or some tragedy. They've let that take the greatest toll and make the greatest claim on their lives. But if you really want to live what's known as the good life, unique lifestyle, make sure the future has the greatest influence on you. Now, there's 2 ways to face the future. One is with apprehension, being afraid of the future, being uncertain. The what if this happens game I used to play. What if the money goes wrong? What if the government doesn't do well? What if there's war? This what if game you can play on the negative side. And sure enough, it is not that difficult if you don't discipline your mind, if you don't discipline your awareness. It is not that difficult to be apprehensive about tomorrow, about next week, next month, next year, the future. Okay, that's one way to face the future, with apprehension. Here's another way to face the future, with anticipation. So if you can arrange it so that you anticipate the future rather than dread the future, see, that can alter your whole life. Because guess how close the future is? The next minute. That's the future. Okay, the past is quickly receding and the future is quickly coming. So we're all concerned right away with the future, right? The next future couple of hours, the next future couple of days, the next future couple of years. That's the future. Now, the best way to anticipate the future is to make sure that a big share of it for your life is well designed. Some of the future we anticipate simply by speculation. It looks like humans are figuring out better ways to do things. We anticipate the coming explosion in electronics and all of the things that are being invented for our safety and comfort and productivity. Okay. We can anticipate, conquering some diseases, finding a cure for cancer. There's all kinds of positive things to think about, to anticipate for the future. But for your own personal life, the way to anticipate the future is to design it well. Let me give you a little diagram to explain part of this. In our lives, here's what we're primarily involved with. Draw 4 little boxes. This little box is called potential, and this box is called action. This box is called results, and this box is called attitude. Now, since everything affects everything else, we primarily proceed based on how we feel. Primarily. Part of it is intellect, but the biggest part of it is emotion, how you feel. How you feel determines whether you read or don't read. Right? Reading is not really a skill problem. Now, you learn some better skills for better reading, but most of you knew how to read, right, before you ever got here. So whether you read or not is not really a skill problem. It's an attitude problem. The direction you take is attitude. You can decide to be happy or sad. That's attitude. How you react to a certain situation is primarily attitude. Right? You can either care or not care. You can listen or not listen. You can go or not go. Right? You can be there or not be there. You can decide or not decide. That's all by attitude. So attitude is the determining factor. So attitude determines our potential, how much potential we tap. Guess how much capacity we have? No telling. I mean, we're just now beginning to understand the mental, emotional, human capacity. Our lives are far too brief for the capacity, for whatever mystery that is. In one of the old world sayings, it says, we get too soon old and too late smart. Now, it isn't that we couldn't be smarter, but it just seems as though life is so brief, we just don't really have a chance to tap in on all of our mental and emotional and awareness capacity. But that's one of the mysteries of life, and it's meant to ponder, I'm sure. But depending on how much potential we tap, that really depends on how we feel. Now, if we don't tap much potential, of course, we're going to have a poor action plan. The person says, well, I'm not getting there early and leaving late if this is all they're paying. Most everybody wants to know, not most everybody, some people want to know, how little can I do and how much can I get? I found it a bit disturbing when I got to Australia. I found the people incredibly vigorous, but I also found that they were trying to figure out ways to work less and less and less and earn more and more and more. Have you heard of that philosophy? The question was, how little can we do and how much can we get? Remember, everything has 4 parts. Everything has 4 parts. 1 is cause. 2 is effect. 3 is direction. And 4 is destination. Everything has those 4 parts: cause and effect, direction and destination. See, the philosophy that says we want to work less and less and less and earn more and more and more puts us on a certain direction. And I'm sure everybody will agree to that. Now, the ultimate end of the philosophy is, can we finally not do anything and get it all? Right? That's the final destination of the philosophy. Can we do less and less and less and earn more and more and more? Now, the people who go for that philosophy usually say, no, 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 we don't want to take you that far down the road, because that would be bankruptcy for all of us, which is true. right? They say, we don't want to take you that far down the road. Well, now the next question is, how far down that road do you want to take us? See, there's always a danger point, right, of going down one road too far, because sometimes when momentum is created, demise is soon. You cross the line of no return once you go too far. So you've always got to be careful of your philosophical approach to make sure the direction you're going and the ultimate destination. Because one of the major questions for all of us to ask, if you keep pursuing your present plan that you've been engaged in for the past year, where will it almost ultimately take you in the next 10, 20 years? Because one of the major questions to ask is, 10 years from now, you will surely arrive. The question is, where? Where are you headed with your current reading schedule? Where are you headed with your current philosophical position? Where are you headed with your current attitude toward the potential you tap from your own abilities and the action plan you have? Where will you finally wind up? See, those are major questions. What we all want to make sure is that what we're doing is taking us in the direction we want to go and will cause us to arrive where we want to arrive. Otherwise, sure enough, 5, 10 years from now, you could wind up being where you don't want to be, wearing what you don't want to wear, driving what you don't want to drive, living where you don't want to live. Now's the time to fix the next 10 years, right? Now's the time to come to some better philosophical conclusions. But we're all affected by this, how we feel, the potential we tap, the action we take. Now, the action we take brings a certain amount of results. If we've got a poor plan tapping little potential, what kind of results do we get? Awful. Now, if you've got bad results, how do you feel? Since everything affects everything else. Yeah, lousy. That's a good word. Lousy. Now, if you feel bad, what kind of potential how many classes do you take? How many skills do you learn? You just don't go, right? Now you've got a poorer plan. You get there later and leave earlier. Figure out a way to do less instead of more. And that brings poorer results. Inflation finally starts eating you up here. Now you really feel bad. Now you're not going to tap very many of your skills. You're going to come up with a poorer plan, poorer results. And this cycle now is going down. And almost everything is either cycling up or cycling down. Nothing ever just sort of hangs in there. Right? Life is sort of like riding a bicycle. You either got to get on or get off. You know, get going or get off. You know, you just can't hang in there. Right? We're either climbing or sliding. We're growing or dying. And how we feel and the cycle of events that are happening in our lives is usually either taking us up or taking us down. Now, if we're going down, we got to step in here somewhere and change all this. Now, question. To change the cycle of what is happening in your life, where do you step in to change this whole process? Attitude. We only proceed from how we feel. Now, what you know determines how you feel, but what happens to you determines how you feel. Humans have the incredible ability to finish the future before they start it. Because we also talk about that in time management. When should you start the day? Answer. Don't start the day until you have it finished. Question. Is it possible to finish something before you start it? Answer. Of course, humans have this unique ability. It's like building a house. So you don't start building your house till you have it finished. You mean you can finish a house before you start it? Yes. It would be dumb to start it until you had it finished. Okay? We finish it by plan. We finish it by design. Now then, goals can become like a magnet. What you want now is the pull of the future. Now, some things will pull just because intellectually you're aware of the potential and the possibility of the future. That will pull. The discoveries and what can happen and the economy and living in this unique country and the market possibilities and the potentials. I mean, you can get excited about that, simply intellectually. However, for the real pull on your constructive life to progress, now you've got to design the future for your personal life in order for it to pull. But if you'll design it well, it will pull. The goals will become like a magnet. Okay? They will start to pull. The better you define them, the stronger they pull. Now the next part here is give reasons for your goals. And we'll get into that when we get to the goals workshop. But just make a little note. The reasons for your goals. Purpose. And I have a little phrase for you that says, purpose is stronger than object. Object will pull. Object well defined will really pull. Purpose given to object well defined pulls like you can't believe. And that's the process of being enticed to get up early, stay up late, hit it all day, enticed to read the books and find the answers, develop the game plan, no detail is too small. You're excited about facing the day simply because you've got it well designed and you've given excellent purpose for it. See, if you have a goal of a $500,000 home, that will pull. But the next question is, what for? What's your purpose of the $500,000 home? You say, well, for the feelings, my family, how they're going to feel, the prestige, I'll be able to entertain. See, now we're really getting to the stuff that pulls. Purpose really pulls. Now, the purpose can also be for your life and your lifestyle. Okay? The purpose for becoming a unique person. What kind of influence do you want to have? Right? What kind of effect do you want to have on other people? What kind of return do you want in the way of thanks and recognition for the person you've become and your life of sharing? See, once you start dreaming about what you can become, the effect you can have, the joy it's going to give you, the return that's going to come, you just start designing this incredible purpose for your life. And make sure that you include family and friends, because many times what we do for others pulls greater than even what we want for ourselves. If you can see yourself being uniquely benevolent, providing things for people they never dreamed they could have, helping them to accomplish things they never dreamed they could accomplish, how that's going to make you feel, the kind of person you're going to become from it, the joy you're going to get from it, you just must ponder that and think about it, talk about it, and design it. See, most of the answers for your life you're not going to find this weekend. You're going to find them out of your own experience. But if we can just get you started, if you can just get started reading, if you can just get started asking questions, if you can get started thinking on paper, that's where the answers are going to flow. I think some lectures, they promise too much for the weekend. One of my wealthy friends says, Mr. Rohn, I will not insult you by telling you what to think, but I want to help you by showing you how to think. Because the answers are going to come from your own experience. They're going to come from your own brain power. But if we can have some guidelines that'll help us to find the answers for the future, see, that can then become a very valuable weekend. And perhaps we've gotten some answers here, but most of them for your life and the rest of your life are going to come from your own experience, your own awareness, your own thinking power. But your new ability to read better and think better and design your life better and have better goals and better time management and a better appreciation of lifestyle and value and uniqueness and intelligence and awareness and intellect. See, that whole process now gives you incredibly high chances starting Monday to better your life in a short period of time. You can't believe some of this and what's going to happen to you in the next week, the next month. I know. Those early days when I first got a hold of some of this from Mr. Schoaf, I couldn't sleep nights. I couldn't believe that I'd discovered the man who was going to teach me how to be wealthy. It was just too much for me at first. It was unbelievable. I went down to 118 pounds. I mean, unbelievable. I almost wasted away. I was so excited. I couldn't eat. I lost my appetite. It's unbelievable. I'm just trembling with excitement to think that I found the answers for wealth, happiness, lifestyle, fortune, world travel. prestige, affecting people, personality. I couldn't believe I was on the beginning edge of all of that. And I got terribly excited. I finally got to where I could better manage my emotions and handle it a little bit better. But I'm telling you, once some of this opens up, especially in the early going, it is just incredibly exciting when you start thinking of what you can do and what you can earn, what you can become, the kind of person you can be, the influence you can have, and how far you can reach, how many you can touch. It's incredible. I'm still blown away by it all. Somebody asked me, you've been doing these seminars now 17 years. Doesn't it get a little old? And the answer is no. I'm just as excited about doing this one this weekend as I was doing my first one. In fact, I'm more excited about this one because I'm better. The first ones I was worried. This one I'm just sheerly excited because I know some of you out there are going to be where I was at age 25. And some of this stuff is going to explode on your consciousness and you're going to have some stories. And who knows, you may be writing your books, giving your seminars. And you're going to be sharing maybe around the world. Who knows what'll come out of a weekend like this? And I know that. So that's what gets me excited. You never know who you're sharing with. You never know who you've recommended an idea to. You just don't know. And out of a room full of this many people, you know, serious about making changes and getting information, no telling what can happen from this. And the letters and the stories, I already know, because I've had it happen to me now over the last dozen years especially. But it can be exciting. Now, the major value of reaching a goal is not to have the goal. But rather, the person you have become to acquire it. The major value of reaching a goal is not to have the goal, but the person you have become to acquire it. See, it's a worthwhile objective to become a millionaire. And the major reason is not to get the $1 million. The $1 million is second, third, fourth, no telling how far down the list it is. The real value is the person you became to acquire the money or the net worth. See, after you've become a millionaire, you could throw the money away and not lose very much. And the reason is because you get to retain the person you became, unless you throw yourself away. But see, once you become the person it takes to acquire the goal, now the goal is not the most important value. The most important value is what you became to get it. That's why when you really philosophically understand, put things in their proper perspective, if you happen to lose, you don't really mind. Right? When they broke into my motorhome, right, and stole all the stuff, I didn't care about the stuff. You can always buy some more televisions and you know, radios and tape recorders and leather briefcases. I mean, you can always replace the stuff. I really did feel a bit concerned about my journals, you know, things just almost irreplaceable. But never regret the loss of things. Unless they're personal, you know, family treasures or something that have more than just the monetary value, then you're going to be disappointed. I remember once when I lost all my money. What was unique about that experience was when I lost everything, I really calculated that I lost only about 10% of all my assets. Because I only lost the money. Now, some people, when they lose their money, they lose 90%. So, right? And that's when you bail out of the 20th window. Try to make it like a bird. But see, if you lose all of your money and you really understand that the person you became to acquire it, when the money's gone, you're not gone. You've still got the mental value. You've still got the awareness and the uniqueness and the skills and whatever it took for you to acquire those possessions. That's the greater value. That's why it's true the love of money is evil. And the reason is because if you put your love where the money is instead of the true value of the person you become to acquire it, Then see, when it's gone, you've lost everything. When Jesus, the master teacher, told the rich man to sell all he had and give to the poor and become a disciple, he was not asking him to do something that was so totally obnoxious and wrong, to give away his possessions. It's because the master teacher understood where the true possessions were, right? If he had become a wealthy young ruler, if that's what he became, then he could give all of his possessions away and still not lose any of his wealth, because he could still be the person he was. So once you understand where the true values are, then you use goals not just to reach the goal, but you use goals as an enticement to become a better person. Now you're zeroing in on the true enterprise of life. You want to reap the harvest, not just for the harvest and what you can cash it in and what it'll bring to you, but for the person you become to acquire this harvest, for the patience it takes, for the brains it takes, for the discipline it takes, for the organizational ability it takes, employing other people, offering opportunity. See, to get a good harvest come fall, you got to be quite an enterprising person. So it isn't the harvest then that's the most value. The most value is the skill and the person, the personality, the discipline, all the things you learned and became to acquire it now becomes primary value. That's why when you really understand the acquisition of wealth, then you don't worry now anymore about your money. Who's going to steal it? And where's it going to go? And who's going to get their hands on it when I'm gone? And all that. You just don't worry about that anymore, because you've already gotten the greatest value out of your wealth. If you earned the wealth and you made the wealth, because the greatest value is the person you became to acquire it. Now, if you will begin to apply that philosophical position on all your future projects, you cannot believe the happiness and the uniqueness and the joy that comes with it. You just can't believe. Now, see, it's much easier to get up in the morning, because you're going now for the greater value of the person you're going to become to acquire what you wish. Now you're eager to go for it. See, growing is one of those incredible chances and challenges in life. And now it makes the day much more exciting and much more interesting. Because we all kind of know that just things are not where the true values are. So if we pursue things, sure enough, we're going to wind up disappointed. But if we let things entice us to become better persons, to acquire them, now we understand where the true value is. Now, what you'll find happening is we're getting all these stories about people who come back and say, you know, things that I put on my 3-year, 5-year list, I got them the first year. One doctor and his wife came back to the ranch, I guess 2 or 3 times, Ron. One year, they drove their new Rolls and their new Bentley. And said, we just wanted to show y'all some of the stuff we've checked off our list. That's neat. They flew over to Europe to get a his and hers, a Rolls and a Bentley. Unbelievable. They wanted to double their practice in 3 years. They doubled it in about 10 months. Unbelievable. And we keep getting this little called progress report, right? About every 6 months we get this updated progress report that says, let us tell you what's happening to us now, right? Once they got started on this, they just zeroed right in, and they couldn't believe all these incredible things that start happening. See, what you do is, if you work on some of these things properly, you let the good surprises of life start stacking in your favor. You know, the good things happen to the people that are out there becoming enterprising and growing and changing. You know, some people call it luck. But see, luck is merely taking advantage of opportunity, operating in the marketplace where the good things happen. See, now if you're not out there, it's just not going to happen. You know, luck does not come by and seek you out. Usually, you know, what we call luck falls upon those people that are out there operating in the marketplace, that are out there doing it. You say to the salesperson, oh, you got a lucky sale. No, that was just the 20th sale. They worked on the other 19, and then here comes one out of the sky. But unless you're out there, they won't fall on you hiding in a cave. When they come from the sky, make sure you're out there in the field, working, laboring. where the good things fall.